This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. As everyone knows, we are getting ever closer to the 2026 midterm elections. And with that, we're going to begin to see how both Republicans and Democrats are going to try to win the 26 midterms. Now, of course, we kind of know what the main states are, like North Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, Maine. These states are critical for the Senate. Even some congressional seats, we kind of know, yeah, like Michael Lawler's seat in New York, that's a pretty big deal. But at the same time, we're going to begin to see what both parties are going to really target the most. We're going to put a lot of their resources into. And well, it's looking like the Democrat Party, they have successfully deluded themselves into thinking that 26 will not only be a good year for them, which I think that's a fair assumption. Yeah, Democrats, they're going to probably retake the House, probably gain a Senate seat or two. I think that's within the realm of, well, I think that's what's going to happen, not just a possibility. That's probably a likely scenario. But at the same time, it's looking like Democrats have convinced themselves that this is going to be a historical blue tsunami. They gain record margins in both the House and the Senate. They're going to flip all these states and districts Trump won by 20 points in. It's going to be the biggest blue wave in history. And guys, listen, could that happen? I guess. But right now, I don't see how anyone can really say, yeah, 2026 will not just be a blue wave. It's going to be the biggest blue tsunami we've ever seen. I think that's delusional, but somehow Democrats are convincing themselves that, yeah, this is going to happen and they're going to magically flip all these seats that Trump won in 2024, not just by a small margin. We're talking about up to like 21 points in some areas. That's how delusional this is getting. Guys, it's one thing to say you're going to flip a Trump plus 5 seat, fine. But when we start talking about Trump plus 10, Trump plus 15, Trump plus 20, at some point, you have to begin to realize, okay, this is just completely nonsense. This is unrealistic. We are just so far out there at this point. But no, top Democrats really think that's what's going to happen. Amid a hot streak of overperformances across the country and President Trump's slipping approval, New York Democrats are wondering, why not try to flip a seat that Trump won by 20 points? Yeah, this is real. This is coming from Politico. These morons in the Democrat Party, they're high on their own farts at this point. They really think that Trump is so hated by everybody. He's at negative 500%. Nobody likes him. It's all over for the GOP that they're going to win or try to flip a seat that Trump won by 20 in. Not by 5, which is one thing. We're talking about Trump plus 20. Unpopular moves from the Trump admin now have Democrats in the Empire State putting their political capital into a race in deep red terrain, the latest indicator of how bullish they feel heading to the midterms, which will determine control of the House. And let's be clear, it's one thing to be bullish about flipping the House. Like, okay, it's one thing to say, yeah, we're going to retake the House and maybe get a decent sized majority. So we're going to try to flip these seats that are maybe a tad more Republican than we can realistically flip. But guys, we're not talking about Trump plus 5 or Trump plus 10 even. This is Trump plus 20. This isn't bullish. This is just delusional. Like, how can anyone really say that, yeah, this is a great idea? We're going to ignore all these other races, and they're not really doing that. But guys, you know how dumb this sounds? The Democrat Party, they are having a lot of fundraising issues. That's an objective fact. They're running out of money. They're in so much debt. Their main organizations can't raise anything, especially compared to the GOP. The Senate GOP raising hundreds of millions. House Republicans, same thing. Trump's own PAC raising close to $500 million. It's a crazy amount of money that these top Republican groups have. Democrats, they don't really have the luxury. If they had infinite money, yeah, they could do that, I guess. But you guys do realize that that money is better spent in a, I don't know, like a Harris plus one seat, Trump plus two. Because guess what? Michael Lawler, he's in a Harris plus one seat. Do you really think he's going to lose by such a big margin? You don't have to spend any money in that race? That's the issue with the strategy. Even if 26 is a big blue wave, aren't you better off trying to flip these Trump plus five seats, Trump plus two seats, Harris plus one seats? Why focus immediately on Trump plus 20? Why? Governor Kathy Hochul recently touted how optimistic she is about flipping outgoing Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's seat in the North Country. Oh, good Lord. Are you serious? You're going to try to flip Stefanik's seat? You're optimistic? I know you say this publicly, but apparently they're not just talking a big game like, oh, we're going to have such a big blue wave. We're going to flip the North Country. That's one thing to say that. Both parties say that all the time. Even Mike Johnson in the House GOP, he is saying right now that, yeah, we're going to not only keep the House, but expand the majority. Like, it's one thing to say that, but apparently Jamie Raskin, one of the top House Democrats, gave them $9,000 to his joint fundraising committee. So you have top Democrats not only saying, we're going to try to flip the seat, but they're actively campaigning with them, and they're actually giving them money. Now, I know it only says 9,000 here, but hey, it's from one single check from Jamie Raskin for one committee. And that does not include, the guy raised like, I think $4 million or something crazy like that. It is absurd how much money this guy has already raised. And I guarantee you in a month or two, the top Democrat groups, they're going to begin to pour a bunch of money into this district, thinking, yeah, we're going to be able to flip Stefanik's seat. Seriously? And I know the argument they're making kind of is, well, the Republican primary looks like a shit show. And fine. That I guess could make the race closer with it being a more Democrat year. Fine. Maybe it does get a little bit closer. Sure. But still, why waste money here? If this was Trump plus 5 or 10, that's one thing. When you get to Trump plus 20, you're just wasting money and time, which it gives Republicans an advantage, I guess, in other seats. But still, why waste the money here? It's not even a special election, I don't think. So what's exactly the strategy here? If it was a special election, sure, maybe you can make the argument, but it's not even that. So what's the point? It makes no sense. It just shows that Democrats, they're high on their own farts. They really are convincing themselves that, yeah, we're going to be able to win a Trump plus 20 seat because it's going to be a historical blue tsunami. We're flipping everything, invest all of our money into this one seat. The legal threats and personal barbs coloring the GOP primary aren't the only reasons the seat is intriguing for Democrats. Hochul pointed to conversations she had with conservative farmers in the district who expressed frustration about tariffs and immigration rates. Oh my gosh, we're doing this again. Didn't Harris try the same thing in 24 with the Republicans for Harris thing, where they had all these quote-unquote Republicans supporting her, when in reality, all these people were just partisan Democrats? It's the same thing. They've been saying the same thing about farmers for years now, that, oh, we talked to all these conservative farmers and they're sick of Trump now. They've been saying this every single year since 2015. They did the same shit back in 2017, back in 2018, back in 2019. Throughout Trump's first term, they were claiming all these farmers, they're sick of Trump. And that didn't happen. It's bullshit. They're making stuff up yet again. I heard a lot of anger, she said. I was reflecting on that as a place that people would not expect us to have an opportunity to win, where I believe we do, because people are rejecting the policies that are driving up costs and making their lives miserable. Oh my gosh. Really? I'm pretty sure if you're going to use this logic, they're upset with you and the Democrats. Not really with Trump. I know Trump's the president, but guys, you do realize who controls New York, right? Hell, Marist came out with a poll like 2 days ago or a couple weeks ago where a third of New Yorkers are prepared to leave the state in 5 years. Within 5 years, theoretically, we could be seeing a third of people of New York leaving the state and going to Florida, Texas, North Carolina. Man, they're going to some Democrat states, aren't they? Of course they're not. So when you start seeing Democrats say stuff like this, you can tell immediately they're making it up. They're making up an excuse why they're doing it. They might be so delusional that they actually believe this crap now, based on the fact they're actually spending money here. It's being reported by Politico and others that, yeah, they really believe if they spend money and time here, there are these magical conservative farmers in the district that are going to magically flip the seat. Really? You've been trying the same stunt for years now, and now they might actually start believing it now, which is crazy to say, but based on this article, it sounds like, yeah, they are. It's a seat that is by all means a reach. Yeah, no shit. We're not talking about Trump plus 5 or Trump plus 10. We're talking about Trump plus 20. By all accounts, this is a significant reach. For one, it's a costly gamble, especially when Democrats have a trio of vulnerable incumbents to protect in an expensive Republican-held district in New York City suburbs they're trying to win. Significant national investment is also unlikely to pour into a seat the Democrats haven't held in over a decade, and Stefanik overperformed Trump in 24, winning by a 24-point margin. And Politico's right here. I cannot believe I'm saying that. But guys, you do realize there are several seats here in New York that could flip theoretically. I know it's unlikely, but New York, everybody knows, is getting more Republican. Maybe some trends have slowed down in recent years, maybe. But guys, some of these seats Republicans could still win. We're not talking about Harris plus 30 seats everywhere. These are Harris plus 1. Some areas, Trump plus 3, Trump plus 1, or whatever it was. So you still got to win those seats first. And Michael Lawler is a Republican you should be focusing on the most, not in upstate New York. What are you trying to accomplish here? That money is better spent against Lawler and defending like Tom Suozzi, not putting money into upstate New York to lose by 15 instead of 20. I just don't get the strategy. The more you think about it, the dumber it gets. Like, what? But recent Democrat performances, including a 25-point swing in a ruby red corner of Georgia and a state legislative win in Trump's hometown Florida district, have some contending and warrants a closer look. Oh, good Lord. Really? We're going to use the special elections as proof? I thought that this was a thing that nobody actually believed. But apparently, you have top Democrats convincing themselves that this special election in Georgia is proof that, yeah, we're going to magically win these Trump districts because of a special election. Oh my gosh, you just can't make this up. We've gone over this a million times now. Special elections and these off-year elections mostly don't mean anything. Most of the time, it's nonsense. Sometimes, yes, it is concerning that Republicans, they're struggling in these lower turnout elections. But we've gone over this a million times. You look at like Georgia's special election, the Democrat outraised every Republican, spent a shitload of money, ran for the seat in 24, and was an overperformer. Yeah, it's not good Republicans underperform big time, but guys, there's added context to these races that nobody talks about. Take Raskin. He said he's been looking to support candidates who are outside the strict red to blue column. Oh, geez. This is proof that, yeah, you just have top Democrats just convince themselves, yeah, we got to take a closer look at this Trump plus 20 seat. Instead of Michael Lawler's seat, we're going to win that seat by such a big margin, we could just ignore it. I'm somebody who doesn't use public opinion polls. I don't believe what the pundits have to say. Raskin said, well, if you don't believe what they're saying, that may not be a good year for you then, but whatever. I'm not criticizing the DCC about this because they obviously want to zero in on districts where the numbers are there. But when you're in that frame of mind, it's easy to be governed just by the objective statistics and numbers you see. Politics isn't just a science, it's an art too. And we cannot ignore the subjectivity of these candidates because there are some remarkable candidates out there. Oh, jeez. Like, I guess he's kind of right where there's more than just numbers. I get what he's trying to say here. Like, hey, you could theoretically run good campaigns and you can bust through the traditional numbers. I get that. But really, this is just delusional crap. This is stuff that somebody that's delusional would say. Guys, we have to ignore the like that's what he said here. Just basically ignore the objective statistics because it's numbers that you see. Yeah. I mean, why would you say that? Like, make a big deal that, oh, they're governed by just objective statistics. I would hope so. It is unbelievable. But okay, since they're making a big deal in special elections, you guys want to see how just absurd this really is, this nonsense about special elections? Let's go back to 24. There were several special elections that happened, and this was during a presidential year. So already, you're having higher turnout with primaries going on, with more tension on the election coming up. So you would think, okay, the results of the special elections would somewhat translate to what happens in November. Okay, let's look at this. New York's 3rd district in 2024. Swazi won by just over 8 points. Okay? In November, he won by just under 4 points. 5-point swing. Another New York seat. Kennedy won by 37 points. In November, he won it by roughly 31 points. And this is the one that everybody should use as proof that, hey, special elections, sometimes they might be indicator for some trends and how things might be looking. But Ohio 6 in 2024. All right. Ruley won by only 9 points. I remember this well. Everybody was saying this is proof that there's going to be a Democrat tsunami because this is a very Republican seat. We're talking like Trump plus 30. Well, guess what happens in November? Ruley against the same candidate, by the way. He wins by over 33 points. New Jersey's 10th, which, by the way, this was in September 24. This was like 5 weeks before Election Day. So you would think, okay, 5 weeks before Election Day, you would be expecting all the voters to be paying attention. They're excited to vote. They're ready to vote in every election now. The Democrat wins by 66 points. In November, just a couple weeks later, she won by a big margin, but down to 52 points. Yeah. Of course, I'm not saying ignore every special election. I'm not saying that. But at some point, guys, you cannot just say we're going to win every single Trump plus 30 seat because of a special election. Because the vast majority of the time, the special elections don't translate ever. Well, not ever, but most of the time. We're not talking about a 1-point shift. Some areas, 20-point shift, 12-point shift, 15-point shift. And this was a presidential year. So you would think in a presidential year that these swings would be much smaller because voters are paying way more attention, especially in New Jersey. 2 months before the election, after the first debate, you would think at that point, you would not be seeing much of a shift in special elections. It's as if Democrats right now, they have an inflated advantage in special elections because their voters vote in every election. Republican voters, they don't vote, especially these special elections. They don't usually vote in midterms. So that's a concern. But if this happens in a presidential year, you better be very careful using it for a midterm where the demographics could be even more wacky. You have no clue who's going to actually turn out. Things could get even stranger. Now, again, don't ignore every special election, but Democrats, they should not be using these special elections as proof that, yeah, we can flip Stefanik's seat. That is insane. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.